Hey friends, Sarah here. Thanks for joining me today as I share my end of the year TBR. I am participating in two reading challenges this year. One of them is the Book of the Month reading challenge. I don't know that there's any other name for it other than that. And the other is the 52 Book Club challenge. So with the Book of the Month subscription, they have an ongoing challenge every year where you get a little prize if you satisfy these three categories. And I think the first one is like you read three debut authors, one book that's over 400 pages, and then just when you read 12 books overall. And those all do have to have been purchased through your subscription with Book of the Month. So it's not just anybody reading 12 books. I completed that challenge earlier in the year, and I earned my prize, which was a Book of the Month branded pair of socks. And there was an additional challenge, which is called the Shelf Slayer Award. And that is when you complete or when you finish reading 24 books through your subscription. And so, they have a little tracker on their app, and you rate it once you have finished the book, and then that adds to your tally. So I am 4 away from finishing the Shelf Slayer, and I've got, I think, 7 books to go to, or prompts to fill for the 52 book challenge. So I really want to finish both of those challenges throughout the year. So let me show you what I'm going to be reading to wrap up my year and wrap up those two challenges. So the first challenge that I want to complete, as I said, is the Book of the Month Shelf Slayer. And so I need to finish 4 additional books. I've read 20 of my subscription, or 20 that I got through my subscription, I guess I should say. So I need to finish 4 more before the end of the year to get the Shelf Slayer. I have been on a cozy romance kick lately, and this one is hot off the presses, or I should say hot off my front porch. It literally just got delivered to me about 20 minutes ago, and I want to read this month. That almost never happens. I very rarely will get a book and read it in the same month. I don't know why, but this one is Kiss Her Once for Me. It's by Allison Cochran, and I'm super excited about this. This book just has such a cute, the plot sounds really just charming. Our main protagonist is set up with her landlord. They come up with this fake dating scheme, and she is gonna go home for the holidays with him, and come to find out, she goes home and meets his family, and his sister is a woman that our main protagonist had a little fling with the prior year and has not stopped thinking about. I very seldom read any LGBTQIA romance or anything like that. This is obviously shows that representation, but I just don't seek them out, and I always enjoy them when I do read them. So I think I'm gonna make that a theme, not a theme, but a goal for next year, is to seek out more diverse romance stories. I think that will be a good goal for me for next year. So this was a December Book of the Month, and like I said, I'm really excited. I think the plot sounds really, really just super fun. The next one that I'm gonna read, another romance. This is called The Rewind. I got this, I think, in my November box. It's by Allison Wynne Scotch, and we have 2 former lovers. I think they were maybe college sweethearts, and they're brought back together at a mutual friend's wedding, and they wake up the next day and they're both wearing wedding rings. So they have to kind of go back in time. It kind of rings it kind of sounds like a little bit hangover-ish to me, like they have to put the pieces of the puzzle together to figure out what happened. And then it's also a little bit reminiscent of like, you know, Ross and Rachel to me when they woke up in Vegas the next day and they were married. Anyway, this one too sounds like a really fun one. And listen, I have been all about the lighthearted lately. I have had a heck of a year, and it started out really high and kind of has gone progressively downhill, just really stressful, and I could use some lighthearted, fun romances and just some fun books. So I'm super excited to read those two. Having said that, my next two, not quite so lighthearted. So then we've got two thrillers that we're going to be reading. The first one is The Wilder Women, and this is by Ruth Emmy Lang. This is the story of two sisters. Both have some type of supernatural powers, and their mother went missing several years prior, and the girls have to work together, and each uses her unique powers to find out what really happened to their mother. The second one is by Catherine Steadman. I read a book of hers, or I listened to the audiobook a couple of months ago, and it was phenomenal. This one is called The Family Game. So again, we have a young woman who is recently engaged. So you think it's gonna start out like a romance, but it very quickly turns not into a romance. She goes home with her fiance to meet her future in-laws, and they have this game that they play, and it turns, she finds out that if she loses the game, it's a high stakes game that they play, and she finds that if she loses the game, she may also lose her life. So it sounds really intriguing to me. Like I said, I love a high stakes, you know, it just, that kind of keeps you turning the pages type of a story. So really, really looking forward to finishing off those 4 books and finishing my challenge for Book of the Month. Next, I want to move on to the 52 Book Club Challenge. And in the 52 Book Club, it is just as it sounds. Every year there are 52 prompts that are posted. They're posted on Instagram, on the 52 Book blog page, and then also in the Facebook group. So every year we get to submit our ideas for the prompts, and then later on they're voted on. And the challenge for next year has just been posted, I think maybe a week or 2 ago. So I hope to post a video later on this month that tells you what I plan to be reading to fill each of those prompts. But for now, we still have 7 prompts to work through to complete the 2022 challenge. And the first of those books is prompt number 17, and that is a book picked based on its spine. For that one, I am going to be reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yes, I'm probably the last person on earth that has not read this. I know the general premise, and I actually did start it last night. You can see my book, my bookmark sticking up there. I'm about 50 pages in. So the idea is Addie has made a deal with the devil that she gets to live forever until she's ready not to be living anymore. But everyone she meets will never remember her. That as soon as she's out of their sight, they never remember her, who she is, or even interacting with her. So like I said, I'm about 50 pages in, and it's pretty interesting so far. It's got a little bit of a historical, it's like a dual timeline kind of thing, because it goes back from the, I think the 1700s or the 1800s, and then you go forward to like 2014. So it's really interesting, and it kind of shows, you know, the differences between the 2 times. And I'm enjoying it so far, but only 50 pages in, and I think it's like more than 400 pages. So I've got a little ways to go on that one. The next prompt that I need to fill is prompt number 24. I have my laptop down here. That's why I'm like looking like that. Prompt number 24 addresses a specific topic. This book is called Blink. It's The Power of Thinking Without Thinking, and it's by Malcolm Gladwell. I really wanted to read this book in October because I attended a conference in November where Malcolm Gladwell was one of the keynote speakers, and so I wanted to have some of his material under my belt before I went to hear him speak. That did not happen, but I still am excited to read this book. The idea is, it's called The Power of Thinking Without Thinking, and the idea is you sort of train your brain to automate certain processes so that you don't have to think about them, so you can really focus on the things that you are trying to focus on. So I first heard about this book a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, in one of my business classes, and I immediately went out and bought it, and there it has sat on my bookshelf ever since. So I'm really wanting to get to that one really soon. His keynote was phenomenal. Everyone loved it. So now that I've got kind of an intro to him, I really want to read some of his books. The next prompt that I have to fill is prompt number 28, and that is an award-winning book from your country. I do not have this one to show you, but I'll, kind of leave it here, hopefully. I am listening to the audiobook for Cersei by Madeline Miller. Again, probably the last person on earth not to have read this one. Cersei is a Greek mythology retelling, and it tells the story of Cersei. And I started listening to the audiobook yesterday, so I'm maybe halfway through. I think it will take me a few more days to finish that one off, but Cersei has won multiple awards. I think it's from like maybe 2018 or 2019. And it's won multiple literary awards. And again, I feel like I'm one of the last people to have read it. So I'm enjoying it so far. I think listening to the audiobook in this, in this case is helping me because it is, it's, to me, mythology is not like something that I read very often. So it's helping me to sort of picture the setting in my mind and picture the events in my mind rather than just reading the words off of the page. So in this case, I think it is helping me to have the audiobook to listen to. The next, let's see. Okay, prompt number 32. Y'all, this is going to be a crapshoot whether I can actually finish this prompt or not. Prompt number 32 is a book that intimidates you. And listen, if a book that is 849 pages doesn't intimidate you, you're a stronger reader than I am. I have been wanting to read 11/22/63 for over a year. I bought it last year, it sat on my shelf, and then as soon as I saw the prompt for this, I thought, okay, this is what I'm gonna be reading. 11/22/63 is the day that Kennedy was shot here in Dallas. And the story is that our main protagonist is a high school teacher. He finds this portal and learns that he can go back to the past, and then it becomes a moral dilemma of, is he going to go back and change the past? You have the butterfly effect to take into account, where if you change one thing in the past, it changes everything else that comes after that. So he's focused on changing, does he or does he not prevent the Kennedy assassination from happening? And so I'm about 241 pages into it. Like I said, it's 849 pages, and 241 pages is a good chunk of the way through an average book, but I get so tense when I read this book. It feels like I just get sucked in, and I get so nervous about what's going to happen next. So I read the first 241 pages, and then I had to take a break and read something lighter. That's why I started reading these, kind of lighthearted romances, and I just have not dove back in. So I really do want to finish it by the end of the year. I want to finish it to satisfy this prompt because I think it fits perfectly. So I really am going to make a more concentrated effort to finish this one off before the end of the year. Okay, prompt number 38 is don't judge a book by its cover. Y'all don't hate me, but for this one, I chose The Vanishing Half. This is by Britt Bennett. It did win the Book of the Year in 2020 by Book of the Month. This is not, I didn't get this through Book of the Month. I wasn't a member in 2020. I bought it through like a buy, sell, trade group on Facebook, and that's why it has the seal on it. The premise of the book sounds fantastic. We follow two sisters. I don't know if they're twins or just sisters, but they're two sisters, and they could be white passing if they chose to be. And so one sister decides to pass as a white woman, and she goes on and leaves that town and lives her life. The other chooses to live her life as a woman of color, and so then we see the world through her experience and through her perception, and they're brought back together. I don't remember why exactly, if it was like a family tragedy or some kind of event brings them back together. And so then we're able to see the contrast between how, the two different directions that their lives have gone. Like I said, I think it is a phenomenal premise. I think it's an important book and an important, kind of case study to read. But the reason I chose it for this prompt is because this cover art looks, I could pick half a dozen other books that look just like this. Those splashes of color with like the abstract design, and it just, the idea of the book deserves a much better cover to me, in my opinion. Like I said, don't hate me. I don't know. Now I'm seeing two sisters as I look at it. Okay, so now maybe I kind of feel like a jerk. But I didn't see that. I've looked at this book 14 times and I never saw the two sisters until just this time. I don't know. Don't hate me. I just want to read it to fill the prompt. Prompt number 40 is a book with photographs inside, and I bought this book for myself. I had it on my Christmas wish list, and then, not really surprising to me, no one bought it for me. So I bought it for myself in January, and I have wanted to read it all year long. I am talking about Best Wishes, Warmest Regards. This is the story of Schitt's Creek. I loved Schitt's Creek. I watched it like 3 times, I think, when it was on Netflix. Now it's on Hulu, and I don't have a subscription to Hulu, so I probably won't be watching it again for a while. But this, I just thought the series was phenomenal, and this book is written by Dan and Eugene Levy, who also wrote the series, and there are all sorts of anecdotes from the show. There are, on-set photos and behind the scenes and all these. Look at this awesome picture right here. That is a fantastic picture. Hopefully you can see it and it's not too much glare. I had thought, honestly, that this is kind of like a coffee table book to me, but I have a toddler, and so I try not to put my nice stuff out on the coffee table, but I can see as he gets older, having this out as just a really beautiful coffee table book. I am excited to read it, but it's also 368 pages or something, so most of those are photographs, thankfully, so I should be able to page through this fairly quickly, but I just knew that I wanted to use this one to satisfy that prompt, because basically I've just been looking for an excuse to read it all year, and I have not gotten around to it, so this is, as good a chance as any. The last prompt that I have to fill is prompt number 42, and it's an author who's published in more than one genre. Now, I have chosen for this prompt to read Of Women and Salt. This is by Gabriela Garcia. I do have to say, There are some trigger warnings that are attached to this book. There are some very heavy themes. There's some SA mentioned and some DV mentioned in the book. If you're sensitive to those things, maybe don't choose this one. But it's a short book. It's only 204 pages. And our author here, Gabriela Garcia, she is published in fiction, which, you know, this is a fiction novel, and then she's also has some poetry that she's released, so that kind of satisfied the two or the more than one genre. And so again, a book that I think is important to read, and I like that it's short. It's about 200 pages, and hopefully I will, you know, be able to get through this one. Again, those that have a little bit heavier themes and a little bit, you know, more weighty subject matter, even if they're short, sometimes it takes me a little longer to read through them because I just have to like step away from the vehicle, as my mom says. You know, I just have to like take some space and take some time and, you know, just clear my head. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get through this one fairly quickly, but, you know, who knows? We'll have to see. Hopefully it's, you know, it's something that I can get through before the end of the year. So that is what I am going to be reading throughout the month of December. Please let me know what you are going to be reading. Are you participating in either of these challenges or some other challenges? I know there's like the Pop Sugar reading challenge, which I've never done before, but I'm open to. And then there's a couple of other ones that I know, you know, a lot of people do. So let me know what challenges you are participating in either for this year or for next year, and maybe I will check those out as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will talk to you really soon. Bye.